It's always time to pay attention, but it is time to pay attention. September 2024 Fed meeting, remember? Fed cuts rates by 0.5 point to support economy. What do you think altcoins did shortly thereafter? We're going to look at the altcoin market cap chart. We're going to look at Ethereum price action, and I want to talk about some things in relation to Cardano, and I even want to look at the Cardano weekly zoomed out and talk about where Cardano is in this cycle, but we are very bullish, and I want to acknowledge at the very beginning of this video, the silent majority of you that are watching this video right now, you were bullish right here, January 2023, those bear market lows, this higher low, you were bullish. This higher low, you were bullish, 2024. Remember this, the tariff panic in April area? You were bullish. And even right now in this world of uncertainty, wondering, are altcoins even going to make a break for it? Are we going to get the move? We might go lower before going higher. You're still bullish. I just want to say that I join you in that bullishness. And I'm going to kind of continue breaking down this cycle of where we are. We've been on track so far. Maybe we haven't gotten the 20, 50x so quickly, so easily, but this game should not be easy. So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in if you're not in our intelligent system with our risk models, our exit planners, and all the other data that we have back there. Get in there, click the link below, set up a free trial, check out what we have going on, because I don't think the move has happened yet, and you're going to want to be prepared when it comes to taking profits and having a strategy to do so. That is what the system is for. I built it for myself. I built it for all of you. So get back there and try us out. So I want to start. Let's start. We're going to start with the altcoin chart. We're going to do a little TA because I didn't even mention in the intro this nice cup and handle that we got going on here. But then I do want to go over to Ethereum and Cardano because the setups are so nice. But let me start here. Like, what does September 2024 have to do with right now? Fed meeting. Fed cuts rates by 0.5 point to support economy. Well, here's where we are. Chance, US Fed cuts rates by 25 basis points, rises to 90% on poly market. And this was 2 days ago. I mean, this might have changed since then. But we're about to get rate cuts again. Now, the last time we were in this environment was basically September 2024, oddly enough, which was a year ago. It's September 2025 right now. So let's look at the altcoin market cap chart. What did altcoins do? And we're going to take this even, especially probably like the ADA analysis, I want to look at specifically. It's like, did we pump right away? It wasn't right away. There was a lot of volatility and sideways and even frustration at this moment leading into the November pump. But this is what the chart looked like. And you can see what followed after September 2024 rate cut. This was the first rate cut since 2020. Now, we, around a month or so after, pumped very nicely. I want to mention to you right now, there's no guarantee this plays out similar, right? Like it's, hey, happened then, going to happen again. We can't do that. But what we can do is say, that's important to pay attention to, number one, that happened. And this is not anything new. I posted about this the other day. Rate cuts often, not in the very, very, very short term, lead to markets pumping, but often this is in the macro what they lead to. So we pay attention to that, but we also pay attention to everything else going on right now. The Clarity Act that's happening, right? The money printers. QE is not here yet, but what is so important is that QT, which started all back here, is slowly ending. So let me start here with kind of this analysis, and that is, besides everything we're talking about, the fundamentals here, interest rates about to come down a little bit, we have this cup and handle that is in play. We're testing this area. We could come down. We could go to 1.2, right? We're looking for some type of higher low if we start consolidating. I'm very kind of mindful of these moving averages, the 50, the 20. But what I really want to show you right now, and then we're going to look at Ethereum and Cardano, is this. We're talking about the similarity of right here versus kind of like right here, right? Rate cuts, and it's kind of like, ooh, but price is higher. I mean, maybe we don't have that upside anymore. Wrong. Look at our risk models. I thought this was awesome when I actually came to visit this. Here we are, our risk model for, this is the altcoin market cap risk model. We have them on these other altcoins. This is altcoin market cap sitting at 25, a moderate buy, incredibly low. It's not like a 5, right? Like bear market lows, but it's low. It's pre-bull market number. Let's go back a year, right? So if we zoom in September 5th, for instance, 2024, or we can go September 8th, where there's a 19. Here's September 12th at 21. September 19th at 23. So if we zoom in, all back here in September, we're in the 20s, 25 is in there. Here we are a year later, September, about to get interest rate cuts again. Our risk score has reset. We are at a 25. We're in like that same exact area in terms of the risk score for altcoins. So, and then you can go in here and you can dig into different altcoins and see what those risk scores are saying. They're all different. But point being, you go to the altcoin market cap chart, we have, in terms of risk, reset to an area that we were back here. The only difference is we're not at 800 some billion dollar market cap. We are at 1.5 trillion. And this is the starting point. It sounds crazy. I say it, and it's probably maybe too repetitive, but like I say all the time, we're still at the starting line. And even as we're hovering at all-time highs, we're at the starting line. In a very similar sense, where if I was doing a video back here in January 2021, right, we've made a nice move out of bear market. We're testing previous cycle all-time highs. And you can look here and be like, man, we're getting kind of crazy. I could have said we're at the starting line. And it would be true, right? We're just getting warmed up. We're making our way. That's where we are right now. And the risk score on our altcoin market cap risk model really illustrates that very nicely. So that's altcoin market cap. And this is the story that's going on right now. We are a year later about to get a very similar thing. There's even some talks that we will get a half a point. That'll be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen. But either way, September rate cuts looking very likely. Now I want to do some Ethereum analysis, and then we're going to look at Cardano. We're going to look at Cardano charts, but I also want to look at some things that are going on within Cardano. Here's Ethereum charts. I guess there's so many things I'm tracking. If you've been watching my videos for some time, I've been tracking this symmetrical triangle, which is a multi-year symmetrical triangle going to last bull market for quite some time. If you remember, we were falling outside of the lower trend line, and I was literally anticipating this exact busted pattern setup, and we got it. It took patience, it took volatility, it took an incredible amount of just patience and resolve, but here we are. But now that the move has happened, I posted, I think it was today, maybe yesterday, but basically, and this, I would really enjoy if it didn't happen, but this throwback to the pattern itself, it seems so in play. I'm not sure if altcoins are ready like this week or even in the next few weeks to make the breakout. And one thing, there's two things to this, right? Let me show you, let me visualize it first, right? We have this, if we get a throwback, could be the most bullish altcoin season setup. Because not only do we have this symmetrical triangle in play, we're getting the revisit, which is big. If we see support there and we get a bounce, we have a pretty midterm, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders that could very simply bring Ethereum above $10,000. And that could be the setup that's getting ready to happen, but we might have to dip to the apex. We could see Ethereum in the lower 3,000s. It could fall $1,000. I find it interesting. If you go look at Bitcoin, we were watching Bitcoin in this massive multi-year pattern. It wasn't a triangle. It was an inverse head and shoulders that played out very nicely, including the throwback. So we got the throwback to the neckline on the inverse head and shoulders for Bitcoin, and then it bounced. It's very interesting to me that Ethereum is doing something similar in its own time, its own pacing, but it is breaking out of a trend line, a multi-year trend line pattern, and this is in play, the throwback. It happened with Bitcoin. Maybe it'll happen with Ethereum. If it doesn't, we can track it, right? I really want to see if kind of just in general, we can get a swing high higher than all-time highs. Very simply, I want to see if Ethereum can make its way to price discovery once again. And it kind of all, for me, in the shorter term, relies on this. We are between the 50 and the 20. This is the area that we kind of anticipate the consolidation in this area. We're there right now. It happened back here for a higher low, and we continued. Is it about to happen here for continuation? I don't know. I'm obviously very aware and very kind of mindful and waiting for a move to the downside to the actual triangle itself. It won't bother me. And all of you watching, I hope you're hearing that. It would be a normal move, and it is what it is. This cycle has not delivered us that insane parabolic move, right? There's no sense thinking all of a sudden this time it's going to, and it's just going to keep going up. There's going to be volatility and uncertainty. This is some consolidation, but we might need more. So it's something to watch. It's something to anticipate. But let's see what Ethereum does. First sign would be Ethereum breaking above the 20-day moving average around $4,400 to around $4,500. Then we might actually have something on our hands to see if Ethereum can kind of make that breakout to the upside. But beware that we might get some downside. So it's interesting. The title of the video will talk about like supersonic breakout or something. But obviously in the shorter term, there's downside in play. We have to be mindful of it. Let's go over and let's look at ADA. Before we glance at the charts on ADA, I saw this article, CoinDesk. Cardano's bearish retail crowd hands whales a buying opportunity. I've been covering Cardano for years and years and years. This is so true. Cardano's retail base has flipped bearish after weeks of drawdown, setting up conditions where whales could step in. It's the same thing every time. Even if you go look at, we glance at an ADA chart, if you've been bullish on ADA since September 2023, in my opinion, you've done nothing wrong. You didn't get like a 20x, 30x yet, 10x, but you've positioned yourself if you've been accumulating. That's how I look at it. I'm incredibly excited about this setup, and we're going to look further into why that is. But historically, ADA rallies have tended to begin when retail sentiment is weakest. So continue to watch, and this is good data, and it's coming out of sentiment. They track a lot of the sentiment stuff, but you can just see, retail especially gets very impatient, and with ADA, it's even more so. And then the fear, uncertainty, and doubt surrounding Cardano, it just is another level. It gets that way with all altcoins, but Cardano gets crazy. For Cardano, the shift suggests whales could use current weakness to build positions because the whales know what's up, especially if retail continues to capitulate. Same thing every time. You go look at an ADA chart, boom, right here, sentiment terrible. And then what happens? Little pump. Sentiment, if you remember back here before this big breakout, was terrible. Worst time to be bearish. Worst time to be bearish, right? Worst time to be bearish in the 20s. Cardano has gone to $1.30. And right now, we looked at the altcoin index, the altcoin model in general. We're at the very starting point, and Cardano's at 83 cents. So back to this. The crowd versus price divergence remains one of crypto's more reliable short-term trading signals. I couldn't agree more. And I just want to throw this out there, and then we'll take a glance at the charts. The deadline for the SEC to either approve or reject the application for the ETF is now set for October 26, 2025. So we have like a month and a half of speculation, not just with Cardano, but with altcoins in general, with the ETFs. And it's just so cool that it aligns and there is that confluence with the Clarity Act. Because as we step into the fourth quarter, there's going to be that Clarity Act stuff. And then obviously we have the interest rate. There's a lot of nice moving parts right now for ADA and altcoins in general that we see. So what I want to just look at briefly on ADA is this. If we look at Cardano and we're kind of like trying to distinguish, is a breakout in play? Number one, I just want to mention, I still have my eye just very simply on this upper trend line. And this is not like the top. This is the beginning of the breakout. Is a very similar area breakout from a structured perspective as back here in January 2021. This time it's $1.87. Last time it was 22 cents. This is the move I'm waiting for. Now, furthermore, if we're looking at that, well, what's momentum suggesting? The momentum, if we look at the momentum oscillator for Cardano, it looks very good. Maybe we will fall again and we'll put in a higher low from this swing low that we had in June. However, currently, and I don't know how this will play out, it's looking pretty nice. We've completely reset from overbought from that 2024 move after the interest rate decision in September. We've completely reset on this chart, right, to this 40 area. And now we've kind of made our way back up above this moving average line. We have a little bit of like just higher high, higher low action. It seems a little too early to tell on this weekly oscillator, the RSI, but it's looking decent. And you can even just kind of take a glance at that and look at it back here when we were getting that September rate cut last time. We're in a very nice position. It would be very cool to see if ADA can make a similar move, but don't be surprised if it doesn't, everybody. Don't be surprised, boom, we're coming back down, right? And we're hoping to see some type of higher low, down here somewhere from this swing low in June. Who knows how this will play out? It's something to be mindful of. I think the point being is when you're looking at a Cardano chart zoomed out, all of the moving pieces are coming together. The ingredients for Cardano and altcoins are there. And we have things to watch right now when it comes to Cardano, and it's, things like the ETFs, things like Bitcoin DeFi, and everything else that is going on with Cardano right now. So that's the Cardano chart. It's if you go, I just want to do this because I know many of you are watching price. You go to the hourly. I was doing this earlier. What an insane mess. I mean, it's been sideways. This is an hourly. I don't do this a lot. I'm not doing analysis, but to get a sense, like from July, mid-July, it's just been like sideways, a little crash, a little pump, but just sideways. So ADA holders, crypto holders, I know they're getting impatient, but we have to keep things in perspective, and that's kind of what I'm doing. So I wanted to share all these things with you today as we start this week. A lot going on. Probably going to be a volatile week because, it's September. People are waiting and speculating about the rate stuff, but it'll come and go, and then we'll really start to see what markets did. I want to mention, as it relates to Cardano, I forgot to mention this. We got the September rate cut, and you can just see Cardano didn't move until November. It was still sideways and volatile right after that, right? So keep in mind, this might continue. We might be testing down here in the 60s. Who knows? This is what I'm watching. This is just my opinion. I'm remaining patient, but as an altcoin holder and as someone that's highly invested in the crypto space, I'm pretty hype about where we are right now in terms of from bear market lows, the growth of this space, and what is yet to come. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you watching. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, turn notifications on. And if you're not in our risk models and our intelligence system, get back there, start talking to AI or Zero, which is trained on all this data. It'll be trained on your strategies, so you can kind of brainstorm with Zero back there and strategize, how to exit, how to plan, and eventually how to accumulate when we're crashing into a bear market. So appreciate you watching. I will see you all in the next video. God bless.